Josh, is it salty? Is it salty?
I don't know, man. I wasn't even at the table, dude. I was sitting on the wall, bro.
You don't even talk, bro. So why can't you just like cut out of there? Like,
I didn't
dude, I gotta take a
talk
dump.
this one. I usually brief. I didn't brief it this one.
So why are we recording now instead of an hour earlier?
Because I couldn't get out of work until 4.
It's better than 5.
Because I had to brief the DCG.
Oh, Lord.
It's better than 5.
Look at me.
Did you get that? Is that stocking stuffer? What is
No,
that?
that's just.
Now, I told you when I got my 3D printer, the first thing I was going to print was cock and balls.
So that's what Kurt Schlichter. That's what Kurt Schlichter forwarded.
Look at me. Yeah, I should actually send this to Kurt. Like, hey, courtesy of C3, you get the first print off of my 3D printer.
Yeah,
You should.
You thought
should.
it was some
hilarious.
Second Amendment shit? No. No. You must have forgot what it's like to
Here's
work with
the
a list.
here's the second print.
That's nice though.
Oh shit.
So what you gotta have like a blueprint for that though, yeah?
So you download it all because it's all done in G code. So it's the same thing that like AutoCAD's been using for 2 decades. And so they've already got, dude, like thousands and thousands of sites. I mean, there's nothing that you're going to come up with or create that hasn't already been done, that they just put it out there, and majority of it's for free. You tweak a little bit of it here and there, and you can print off whatever in the hell you want. It's pretty addicting. I like it.
Josh, you don't seem too happy with your Christmas gifts compared to the 3D printer.
Oh man, I got great gifts. I should have thrown some in here.
Did you not have a very good Christmas, Josh?
No, man, I had a great Christmas.
Yeah.
We violated the governor's executive order by having family come from out of town.
That's fucked up, dude. How old are your parents been?
Well, my dad, we celebrated his 74th birthday while he was here.
Oh, dude, Josh
That's awesome.
wants to kill his old man.
Nah, man, everybody was COVID free. So
It's good on you for getting the test for your daughter, though, man.
yeah,
You know?
like I said, man, the whole thing. I don't want my kids to get it. I don't really care if I get it. I'm not going to go around.
You don't want your kids to get it?
I don't want my kids to get it. I prefer
You
that my
should,
kids
because
not
your
get it.
kids will be fucking fine, man. Your kids,
They're gonna be the ones that give it to you.
fine.
I don't want my kids to get it because I don't like to see my kids sick with anything, COVID or a cold or whatever. I don't like to see my kids sick. I don't know. I mean, just because you hate your kids.
Hey, dude, I like to have my kids get a little bit of Ebola every now and then just to keep them on the straight and narrow.
Your kids get sick every year, dude. Your kids get sick every year.
But it doesn't
We like
mean
to
I like
rotate a
seeing
little bit of
them sick.
malaria, a little bit of cholera.
So what Josh is saying, are we recording now? Yes. So what Josh
Jesus.
is saying is he thinks that his kids should wear masks every year because he doesn't want them to get sick.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Dude, your
I'm just
kids
saying
are going to get
my
sick.
choice, I'm just saying if I had my choice, I would prefer that my kids not get sick.
So they need to wear masks from now on. From now on, they need to wear masks.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Fucking 2020 fucked us all up, man. It really did.
That's bait.
That's bait. It did. It's not bait. I swear to God, it's not bait. 2020 fucked us up. It did, dude. It did. It really did. You don't want your kids to get sick. But if this was any other year, and I'm not calling you out, man. I'm not calling you out. But if this was any other year, you're just like, it just is what it is, man. My kids are gonna get the flu. It is what it is. I'm not calling you out. I'm not. Swear to God.
So,
But this year, your radar is raised, and it's just like,
no. If this was any other year, like when my kids do get sick because right? Because they're kids and they get sick. Yeah, they get sick every year. I don't like to see that, right?
Of course.
I don't like to see my kids get sick. So if I have my druthers, I would prefer they not get sick. So, I don't want them to get the Rona. I don't care if I get it, but I would just prefer my kids not get sick.
No way, dude. If my kids go too long and don't get sick, I give them a little medium rare pork chop or chicken breast. Just to give them a little salmonella. Just to...
See, now I'm going to side with Roger on this. I'm going to side with Roger on this, making the kids tougher. Because Josh, come on, man. I'm not calling you out. I get you. You don't want your kids sick. No, I am, but I'm not. I am, but I'm not.
It's fine. I don't want my kids to get sick.
I know, but they are going to get sick. And if it ain't with the Rona, it's going to be with the fucking flu or with Roger's undercooked pork chops. They're going to get fucking sick. And if they get sick with the Rona, they're going to be fucking fine, dude. They're going to be fine.
I clearly understand and accept that, hey, they're going to get sick. But you're asking me if I have my choice. If I have my choice, they would not get sick.
So if I had my choice, no one would ever die ever.
Well, see, that's not realistic. That's not a realistic expectation.
Yours is. It's like, I don't want my kids to
I know they're going to eventually get sick.
They're going to get sick.
But I would prefer they not get sick.
I would too. So why aren't you wearing your mask? You want gam in your kids?
Because I don't wear my mask in my house.
Just killing me.
Because I'm not a sheep.
I love this.
Hey,
dude,
only one of the three of us has a picture wearing a mask outside. I'll leave it at that.
That's me. It's this guy. Because this guy didn't want a 500 euro fine. Because that
little lady on your back right
like three
was
contracts.
like, "Fuck the police," not wearing a mask.
No,
gangster.
Zoom in.
Yeah, I did.
Zoom in. I don't have 3 contracts making big money, so I can't afford a 500 euro fine. Don't you have
diplomatic immunity?
He does. Throw that black book out there. Boom.
Wabam.
I only wish there was time to explain this to you fucking myopic.
Dude, you know what though?
I love you guys.
Dude, Luke's got me. Luke's trying to get me fired up, which is fine because
I am.
I'm not going to take your bait, but I should because I have to send an email. Well, so check this out, right? So last semester, I got to tell this story to tell another story, right? So last semester, my daughter, the bus doesn't show up for our high school, age daughter. And so I call, head up to school. I'm like, hey, where's the bus? And they're like, hey, you got to call, the county transportation office, because we don't control that. So I called the county transportation office. They're like, oh, well, you've got to sign up for transportation. And they're like, yeah, those forms? Yeah, I submitted those on this day. So again, back to my original question, where's the bus that I pay for? And so, the transportation office tried to give me the runaround. Well, it's going to take, X number of days, business days to process, blah, blah. Meanwhile, it was like, I said, no. Meanwhile, the bus is already stopping to pick other kids up. And so I said, not a problem. So I emailed the the superintendent directly. And I CC'd, everybody and their grandmother in the transportation department. I CC'd, the high school, the principal and everybody. And so turn around and as soon as the superintendent emailed back and was like, hey, the transportation office will take care of this. And man, I had a phone call within like 5 minutes and everything was good. Well, fast forward to today, they started the new semester. So the wife had, the day off, so she drove her to school, just cause. Well, she goes to leave school today. She gets on the bus, and they're like, no, you can't ride the bus home because you didn't register for the bus. So they tell her that she has to get off the bus.
Wow.
Like, well,
what the fuck?
She's like, how am I going to get home? They're like, well, call your parents. Something. You figure it out.
Wow.
So she calls me, and I was just, I was on my way home, hurrying so we could record. And she calls me, and she's like, "Hey," she's like, I need to get picked up from school because they wouldn't let me on the bus. So as soon as we're done with this, I'm gonna dig up my old emails, and I'm gonna dig up the email from the beginning of September when we emailed them and said, "Hey, we want to confirm that we have we're on the list for transportation next semester," and they didn't email us back.
And then send them a bill for gas. Be like, "Hey, I had to call an Uber to go get my kids, so you owe me $32."
Yeah, and so I'm gonna email the superintendent again tonight directly, and I'm gonna CC everybody that I can find on the county school website. I'm gonna CC everybody, and I'm gonna CC everybody at her school. Every email address that I can find, I'm gonna CC them. I was like, you have to be kidding me. One.
Hey, you know what? You know who else you need to CC? You should CC Culper's Canteen Cup.
Oh, absolutely,
hey, man. Yeah. We make that shit go public.
I'll CC Culper Canteen Cup. What I'm gonna, you know what? And I'll tell them, be like, "Hey, don't worry about it. We're gonna talk about this on our international podcast."
Well, no,
we need to plug in.
No, you got to be passive aggressive about it. You can't act like you're affiliated with it. Say, "Hey, folks at Culper's Canteen Cup, this is something that you guys might want to cover on your next episode." Yada yada yada, something like that. Something a little passive, and that way we can reply, "Oh man, this is bullshit," and fucking take it off.
I will. I'll do it. I got it.
Because I'll totally reply to that stuff. But
it's stuff like that. Man, stuff like that drives me nuts.
Josh, I think you should introduce this episode. It's episode 45.
45? I'll introduce this episode.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah, do
is
it.
Roger's shit going to cut out again?
Let's go.
My shit didn't cut out. Mine said y'all's cut out.
Probably.
Pretty sure.
Actually, it didn't say Josh's. It said Luke's. It said Luke's cut out.
Well, I could see Luke. We could see each other.
Mine didn't say anything about that.
We could see each other, but we couldn't see you.
Fucking Apache Junction.
Probably it's clearly Luke's connection.
Mesa.
Why are y'all's pictures so much clearer than mine though?
Because our internet is better than yours.
No, it's not. I think it's because I have the soft. What kind of light bulbs are you guys running right now? Well, Roger's probably sitting in front of me.
What the fuck are you talking about? Dude, I'm running some European bullshit light bulbs. Dude, okay. All right, I'm going to go off before we start. Dude, okay. I've replaced more light bulbs in the past 3 years, I swear to God, in this house than I've replaced in my entire fucking life. So don't talk about light bulbs, dude. It ain't this bull. Hey, you know what? Roger can bullshit and rag on my internet all he wants, but the fucking light bulbs here are dog shit.
But it looks so good on camera.
It ain't the fucking light bulb,
So
bro.
once again, as usual, you weren't listening because I said why.
Okay. I'm listening now. Well, because I heard you say, what kind of light bulbs you guys running? And then I went off. So go ahead, finish your thought.
Before I said that, I said, your guys' pictures look so much better than mine. So that means...
And you were looking at Roger.
I was looking at both of
me.
you.
He said, your guys'. That's like plural.
Yeah, but my light bulbs are light bulbs are dog shit, bro.
No, I think that's because I'm using... my light bulb's kind of yellowish. My lampshades... I think it's just... Yeah.
So now all of a sudden you're worried about audio and video quality?
I have like the
45 episodes into this. Now you're worried about audio video quality.
Make your job easier.
It's episode 45. It's episode 45. And don't forget to plug a veteran-owned business.
Dude, we need to get back to that, man.
I want to mute
Yeah, we need to get back to that. Oh, dude, we still haven't plugged. There was a business we were going to plug, and we still haven't done.
Yeah, I know. That's my bad. We'll do that next episode. Got it. Thank you. I know. Shake your head. It's all right. We'll do it next episode.
All right. What are we talking about?
We're talking about episode 45. We're going to talk about 2020 and 2021. And Roger wants to talk about Joel Osteen or something in Georgia.
Whatever.
Joel Osteen. Isn't that the preacher? Isn't that the...
He's a heretic.
That guy, dude, I do not
He's
like
a
him.
heretic.
That dude's
He's
going to hell.
fucking good.
Used car salesman.
Hey.
Yeah, no, he is definitely a used car salesman, for sure.
All right, so whatever. And just kick it to Roger. He's going to run this episode.
So are you going to participate at all, Luke, or just?
Of
well, I'll tell you
course.
what. Just raise your hand when you want to, chime in, and we'll. Whatever.
Okay, let's go. Okay, we're just waiting for you, Josh. I'll just mute, and then we'll give it like 3 seconds, and you can start.
All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 45 of Culper's Canteen Cup. 45. Can you believe that we're on episode number 45? I honestly didn't think we'd get to episode number 5, but you guys seem to like this. You're entertaining us. We're entertaining you. We're doing something. I don't know. I don't even know how many listeners we have left. Last time I checked, I think it was like 13. I think we're down to 4. So we'll probably get at least 3 more episodes out of you guys before everybody just quits on us. But in the meantime, thanks Carlton Zeus for the music. Can't believe you're still letting us use your stuff. We definitely appreciate it though. Hopefully you made a couple bucks from Apple Music clicks. So if you want more Carlton, head over to Apple Music, or you can check him out at carltonzeus.com. That's carltonzeus.com, and Carlton Zeus over on Apple Music. Get over there and get you some listens and get you some good tunes. So hey, we have been plugging veteran-owned businesses maybe for the first couple of episodes. We kind of got away from it. We'll start again next episode. We've got some lined up that we need to get back into the habit of doing that, helping folks out. And honestly, I don't know how much business we're driving to them. People probably, look at us and they're like, oh, they're affiliated with you guys. We're not. No, we're not patronizing their business. We might be doing more harm than good. I don't know. So we got a good episode lined up for you. We're going to give you our thoughts as we always do. We're gonna kind of sum up 2020. We're gonna give you our predictions for 2021 on whatever we come up with, and I'm gonna throw it on over to Roger, and Roger is going to get us started.
Well, you know what the deal is with the small businesses, right? That we used to plug. I mean, they were all stoked and ecstatic because they didn't know how big our audience was. I mean, they're probably thinking, "Oh, wow, this podcast is going to get on there, and they're going to plug us. We're going to get some free advertising, this and that." And then they find out that our listeners like in the double digits, and they're like, "Yeah." So we actually saw a reduction in sales due to your podcast. So I think we've had a couple of them come back and ask us not to plug them anymore. But it's all good. Before we get into the whole 2020 thing, I was a little upset at first, and I think I teed off a little bit on you guys, and then I had to cut. I filed a complaint or a dispute, and I came back. So I was actually banned from Facebook for 30 days. Like, I didn't even get the. Normally you get, Josh, I think you've been banned a couple of times, right? Don't you normally get like a 24-hour thing? Or it's like incremental, right? It's like school. The first time you get, you go spit in, some kid's Coke, and they send you to detention for an hour, and then, next time you piss in his Cheerios, they send you home for the day, and then whatever else, right? And so it gradually gets longer.
Yeah, it's like the 3 strikes.
Yeah. So I didn't even get to 3 strikes. So I posted something back in September. And so apparently somebody is trolling my account and probably trolling Culper's Canteen Cup, probably because of some of our opinions or what have you. But it got flagged, and I received a notification that I received a 30-day ban. And it's kind of like, dude, I was like, wow, this is okay. I don't even remember the post from the 25th. So it pulls it up, and you have 2 options. It says, basically you can dispute it or accept it. And then when you click accept, it's like, hey, you're guilty, ban 30 days. I was like, hey, screw that, man.
It's like court, man.
It's like, why would anybody click accept, or click accept? So I was like, well, let me go take a look at the post. Here's what's crazy about this, right? And all these people, we've obviously talked about the Section 230, as far as 230 protections for Facebook, Twitter, and other social media platforms. That's been big in the news lately. But this is part of the reason why we continue to bring that up, because my post, I actually didn't write anything. All I did was take a quote from the presidential debate, and I'll read this specifically for you. So it was I think it was the first one where they're talking about Chris Wallace is asking President Trump if he's willing to condemn white supremacists. So this is exactly what I posted, no more, no less. Wallace says, "Are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups?" Trump says, "Sure." Wallace, and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland. Trump, "Sure, I'm prepared to do it, but I would say almost anything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing. I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace." Wallace, "Then do it, sir." Biden, "Do it. Say it." Trump, "What do you want to call them? Give me a name." Wallace, "White supremacists and right-wing militias." Biden, "Proud Boys," which everybody tends to forget that, right? That the whole Proud Boy thing with Biden. Stand back and stand by, but I tell you what, somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left. So that is all I posted, no more, no less, and I was actually banned for 30 days because I posted a quote of the debate. No idea why. No idea, right? So I go in there, I dispute it, and then they finally, believe it or not, like within a couple hours, they come back and say, "Oh, sorry, we actually made a mistake, and yeah, we shouldn't have banned that, and now you've got all your privileges back," and put the post back up. But I think when we talk about like the Section 230 stuff, that's why. I mean, you're taking something that is and I'm assuming, well, I don't know, I guess it's held by the media. I mean, there'd be some type of archiving, right, of presidential debates. I mean, do we have like a government responsibility as far as the National Archives to archive that stuff? I would think so, right? At least when the president's speaking. So you take something that's fully quoted, no more, no less, and then you say, "Nope, we're actually going to ban you because we feel like it's hate speech," because that's what it was. It was the Proud Boys and the white supremacists and this and that. That's their whole, the whole reasoning for banning it. And as I'm seeing the chatting go back and forth, so who wants to destroy me first? Was it Pimp Daddy 3000 or Big Daddy Kane?
Pimp Daddy 3000. Pimp Daddy 3000.
All right,
I'm not going to destroy
I already
you.
know. No, I already know your argument, and
No, it's not my argument, bro. It's not my argument. It's I'm actually low grading myself here because I feel like you guys are like warriors in the social media struggle, bro. I mean, it's crazy. Roger got banned for 30 days. Josh has been banned like on Twitter, Facebook, and whatever. And Josh posted something like I don't remember. Josh can tell the story, but he posted something to his page. It might have been sent to public, and that's why it got flagged. But he posted something. I don't know what it was. Josh can tell us. But it was like, "Hey, we're going to hold this post in abeyance until we're sure that it complies with our standards." And I'm like, wow, dude, these guys are light years beyond me. But at the same time, I'm like, well, wait a minute, because you people out there, you do not go to @Culper's Canteen on Twitter. I know you guys don't. I want you to go there because you'll see some good content like what I'm about to tell you right now. I thought I would get banned for sure because it wasn't CNN, but it was some international news source that posted a real article, and I kid you not, go to Culper's Canteen Cup on Twitter and check it out. And like, hey, I kid you guys not, you're going to think I'm joking. I am not. Hey, if men get the COVID vaccine in their penis, it tends to circulate through the system faster and it's more effective. And some people are, and I'm like, whoa, what? No, I must have read that wrong. So I go back, I look at the original news source. I'm like, no joke. Somebody actually studied this. I'm like, that's crazy. So somebody posted, Joe Biden should do this to show the public that it's safe. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to get banned from Twitter like Josh. And I said, Michelle Obama can demonstrate this, her, him, they, themselves, to show. And I didn't get banned. From that. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter what you say. I guess it matters how high profile you are, which means that Roger and Josh are much more high profile than me. So Josh, I'm going to kick it to you so you can bag on Roger because he thinks he's a social justice warrior for the right.
Oh, Jesus.
You can
Don't be a hater just because your sphere of influence is not as great as
so
the other two co-hosts on here.
I've got like 3 people, man.
Yeah, we've got like 5. So,
You know, when that happened to Roger, you know, right when Roger sent that out, he was like, I can't believe like they're banning me for this post. This is bullshit and everything. All I can remember was, I forget which episode it was, but I'm fairly certain, and we can go back to the game tape. Roger specifically saying they're a private company and they can do what they want. So I don't know. That's just me though. You know, but when it happens to Roger, all of a sudden it's bullshit, right?
all right. So first of all, I thought that was going to be Luke's argument. Are a private corporation, and I could give 2 shits what they do until the government grants them the protections under 230. That's the bullshit piece, because I would have recourse, right? If there was no protections under 230, I could actually, not that I would do that over, you know, a stupid ass Facebook post, but that's the point is, okay, now the government's granted additional protections to social media companies. That's the issue. And a lot of that was before I even knew that 230 provided those type of protections against Facebook or Twitter or anything. But back to your thing with your post that had to be like reviewed. So was that a public thing or what was the deal? I saw it.
Yeah. So you guys remember, here it was, I don't know, whatever day the new Congress came into session, Emmanuel Cleaver, he's he's a representative out of Kansas City. And so when they opened Congress with the prayer, and at the end of it, he was like, amen and a women. And
Dude.
so when I saw that first, I was just like, no, like this has to be fake news. Like this does not happen. Right. And so this is akin to the article I saw somebody posted on my way home. They said that the Delta Force, quote, the Delta Force raided Joe Biden's Ukrainian compound. Right. It was just like, stop. But it was, you know, so I equated that. I was like, no, nobody in Congress said that. Like, nobody said amen and a woman, right? Nobody said that. Well, they did. This guy did, Emmanuel Cleaver. And so, you know, I posted that. I was, you know, I made a comment about it because, you know, although I may have the right to remain silent, I don't have the ability. And so I said something about how stupid and ignorant he is, and about how stupid and ignorant all the people who voted for him are too, right? And so he's a Democrat. He's on the far left, but I mean, you probably already knew that, you know, when he says amen and a women. And like, it had to get approved. Just a Facebook post, not on a page, not on like a, you know, a group page with, you know, moderated, like my personal page, general Facebook post had to get approved. And I was dumbfounded when I saw that pop up. As soon as I hit, you know, post, that thing popped up, and I was like, "What is this?" And so I had to screenshot it real quick before it went away. But dude, that's
now was it approved?
It was finally approved, yeah. You know, and then of course, you know, I had a bunch of people jump in on that. But dude,
So
just like that was
Roger will
bizarre.
Roger will be happy to hear that certain Twitter personalities like Jack Posobiec and others are saying that now social media is a civil right, the same as healthcare. You know, this is what's blowing my mind right now. Maybe we can get into 2020 after I finish this little tirade. But now you got people on the right saying social media is a civil right. Now, I don't necessarily believe that. I think it's close. It's not. But we're treading very close to, you know, the pulpit in the public square, and we're talking about Section 230, which we've never really gotten into. And you know, I think that Trump was talking about, you know, I'm going to veto it. You got to repeal Section 230, and maybe we can get into that more in 2021, but I do not think they should repeal Section 230. I think it should be reformed. I don't think it should be repealed, because if they repeal it, man, there's all kinds of stuff that can, it would end this podcast, basically. If they repealed Section 230, it would end this podcast. And I know all 12 of you, 13, 9, I don't know, would be very upset with that. So I don't think they should repeal 230, but now you got voices on the right saying that posting to social media is a civil right. I don't know if I agree with that. The same as I don't know, well, I do know, health insurance is not a civil right. That's what voices on the left are saying, and now voices on the right are saying posting to social media is a civil right. I don't know if I agree with that. So we can go down this rabbit hole if you want to, Roger, or we can recap 2020 like we plan to do. Recap 2020 and maybe get into a little 2021. What do you think?
So look who's the responsible one starting 2021, right? So for all you listeners out there, that's Luke's New Year's resolution, is that he wants to actually have like outlines and stick to the outlines for the Culper's Canteen Cup. So, Mr. Big Luke, you're not following the rules. You're not following the rules.
People need to watch YouTube, man. Straight.
Anyway, well, first of all, here's what the major recap of 2020 is that Josh still did not get his G.I. Joe aircraft carrier. My first prediction for 2021 is that he will not get it in 2021 either. So we can start with that. As far as 2020, and it's kind of funny because you go back, and I'm trying to remove COVID from it because that's the number one thing that pops up in everybody's mind. But there are a lot of negative things when you talk about 2020. When you go through the New York Post or the New York Times or LA Times, anything like that, everything's so negative. And I don't say these in any particular order, but you started off the year with the Australian fires. You had the impeachment of President Trump. You had the BLM protests to go along with George Floyd and Breonna Taylor and the whole mixed bag there together. But then you look at some of the good things that happened. Soleimani, right? We schwacked that dude. You had the Hong Kong protests, which the outcome wasn't necessarily very positive, but I think, again, probably another failed or missed opportunity that we could have played a role in, or maybe played more of a role in to help further democracy to the far reaches of the world. You've got the UK and Gibraltar withdrawing from the European Union. And then again, you got a little bit of negative news because it wasn't all great, but you got the 2020 Olympics that were postponed, and then back to probably some of the biggest news that's been, you still don't even hear it in the media anymore. You heard a little bit about it in October, but obviously the elections overshadowed it. But go back to your Middle East peace deals, between what you've had with Bahrain, the UAE, Israel, and Sudan. That stuff is pretty incredible. So, I think when you look at 2020 in a recap, those are your major events. I think the saddest thing, or the biggest piece, is a lot of lives were ruined in 2020. And we keep saying this, and I stick to it. A lot of lives and businesses were ruined, not because of COVID-19, but because of the cure. Because I tell you, and I'm sure everybody now, they still see it, they still feel it. There's a fatigue. In the Army back in the day, before they called it PTSD, they used to call it battle fatigue, right? Just kept going on and on and on. It's like, man, I just, can't take any more of it. And you start to see more and more of it. And it's like, look, and we've had the folks on there, we've had it on Facebook, we've had it on the Twitters, and they talk about the masks and the vaccines and the social distancing and this and that. It just goes down to common sense. Some of these places, when you look at New York, when you look at California, they've been locked down for the better part of 8 months. Okay, they've been locked down for the better part of 8 months. So if that's the case, then why do they have some of the highest cases in the nation, or the highest death rates in the nation? And again, when you go back and look at your overall numbers, and you can go back and check the game tape. The numbers really haven't changed a whole lot as far as mortality rate, fatality rate, this and that. But if all this stuff was as effective as what they said it was, if it was half as effective as what they said it was, you would be seeing some of the results in your mortality rate, your fatality rates, your infections, and that type of stuff. But what I'm really interested in, and I'll kick it to Josh after this to kind of go over what he thinks that the biggest news of 2020 was. I did want to tap 2021 as far as the predictions. So my number one prediction for 2021, I think there is going to be a very large market correction that happens across the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P. And some of you folks out there that are financial whizzes and play in the stock market, I mean, don't hem me up on the difference between correction and bear market. You know, theoretically, anything 10%, what is it, 10 to 20% drop is a correction, and then anything more than a 20% drop is a bear market, as technicals go, and then you go to, quarter to quarter. But I do believe the market is overvalued. I think a lot of the fundamentals that at least I grew up in, as far as my limited knowledge of investing, I think a lot of those aren't necessarily weighed in anymore when people invest. They tend to be more emotional and more it's more speculative, as opposed to what's actually built into the fundamentals of the company. So I do believe come the springtime, spring, summer, I do believe you start to see a very, very large market correction. How long that lasts, I don't know, but I do think it goes beyond the 10% correction, and I think it lasts for at least a couple months. So maybe that does take us into bear territory. I also think that come March, you're going to start to see the new administration, the Biden administration, do their spin and come out with new beginnings, right? I think it's going to be hey, it's springtime, the sun's out, the weather's getting warmer, the flowers are blooming on the trees, we've got the vaccine, it's the new beginnings, and I think you're going to have the Biden administration, try to shift this narrative from the dark and gloomy days ahead to, hey, we've turned the corner and we're coming out of this thing. So I don't know if that's too much of a crazy prediction. I think anybody kind of sees that going forward. And then much like I believe it was with Trump, where they were talking about his first couple months of his presidency, I think you see some major moves. And Luke, I think you've already posted one this morning on our social media. I think you're going to see some major moves as far as Russia, Iran, and China. I think you're going to see some real testing, because I think a lot of people forget when they look back and they talk about President Trump. I mean, first of all, most of the people that we read about, or the pundits, they're idiots. They don't understand that the internet has been around more than a month. They don't realize there's some history there, and you can go back and research things. And when you look at what happened in Ukraine with Crimea, I mean, people forget that. Like, I was actually shocked at what happened at Crimea. I'm like, wow. There have been a lot of things that have, and look, you've been overseas for a couple of years now. There have been a lot of things that have happened over the years that I'm like, people made a big deal about. I'm like, we're not going to war over that. I mean, I think all of us, we've been in government service long enough. We kind of know where that threshold is. It's like, yeah, we're not going to war over that, this and that. When they took Crimea, I was like, holy shit. Like, this might actually be the line that, this could bring us into war. And
yeah, I thought so too. Yeah.
It was crickets. So I think and when we get around to Luke, he can talk about a little bit more, but I think you see some major testing by Russia, Iran, and China. So those would be my three big 2021 predictions. Looking at a huge market correction, I think you'll start to see the March timeframe, the new beginnings, and I think you see the testing done by the international community. So what say you, Josh?
Well, I think those are all pretty safe, simply because of a Biden administration coming in, right? So I think you're going to see the market correction, because I think it's a lot. Let me back up. I think a lot of this is going to hinge on what happens in Georgia today, right? With the runoff election, Republicans need to maintain they need to win one of those races. So either Loeffler or Perdue has to win for the Republicans to hold control of the Senate. If they lose both, if Warnock and Ossoff both win, then I think we're going to see a couple of things in 2021. I think you're going to see the market correction, and I think that's going to be based on actions that the Democrats take, having control of both chambers. And the White House, I think you're going to see, they're going to take the tack of, student loan repayment. Biden's already talking about a bigger stimulus. Biden's gonna make the money machine go burr more so than it already has, right? Which the market does not like that. The market doesn't like uncertainty, and it doesn't like a lot of stimulus is going out. So I definitely think you might not see the market correction this year, but I think, Luke and I, we BS'd about it, like last week or something, we were talking about, dude, I think we're going to see a major financial downturn, in the next decade. I think it's going to happen within the next probably 4 to 5 years. I don't know if Luke's looking a little further out, 7 to 8 years, but I definitely think we're going to have a major economic downturn at some point. We cannot continue on this trend of just pumping money into the economy. It can't continue. I think the other thing you're going to see with the Biden administration, 2021, I think gun control is at the top of their list. If you take a look at some of their initiatives, other than taxing magazines, taxing certain types of weapons and stuff, it's going to be ammunition, right? You're going to have a license to purchase ammunition, and I think, you don't have to control the guns, you just got to control the ammo. And the ammo is a lot easier to control than the guns, based on, you take a look at the Second Amendment and the Supreme Court's, previous decisions and rulings. That's, it's a little harder to go after the guns. It's really easy to go after the ammo, right? So I think you're going to see that. I think that there will be a peaceful transfer of power on January 21st. January 20th. I don't see, there's not going to be, people are talking about, there's going to be military involvement. This shit is not going to happen, people. Stop it. Regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, if you're saying that, stop it, because it's nonsense. It's not going to happen. I have not talked to one that is in the military that is on board with the military intervening, either in, counting votes or, stopping Biden from taking power, or even removing Trump, militarily. Like, just stop. It's not going to happen. But I think you will not. This is not the last you've heard Donald Trump. I think we are going to see Trump TV come out this year. I think that's going to be a reality, probably in the fall time frame. I think that's definitely going to happen. As far as the other predictions, again, I think you're going to see with COVID. It's kind of like Roger said. I think once those vaccinations start rolling out and everybody's hopping on the vaccine bandwagon, the weather gets a little warmer. Everything, people are going to start opening things up. And, folks are going to, Biden's going to be like, hey, look what we did. We cured COVID, herd immunity. We got there, because the previous administration, messed it all up and everything. So, yeah, man, that's kind of what I think I see. As far as 2020, I think the biggest thing that 2020 taught us is that, for me anyway, is that our countrymen are not the people we thought they were. That's probably my biggest takeaway from 2020, is that now I get it. I didn't for a long time. Like, I didn't understand why during the revolution there were more Tories than there were patriots. I didn't understand that. I was just like, why would anybody want to live under the thumb of a king, right? Of a tyrant? Why would anybody want to live under the thumb of a tyrant? I never understood that. I never grasped that until 2020. And 2020 highlighted it. It showed it, like it's like, here, you idiot, right here. Look at it. And so for me, 2020 taught me that really 90% of my countrymen would happily put me on a train or look the other way as someone else did. That's my big takeaway from 2020. Yeah. So I'll throw it over to Luke, and he can impart his stuff. But
well, let's talk about 2020 first, and I'll follow Roger's lead on saying, what was positive? Okay, for me personally, what was positive? And then maybe some other people, I'll get into some of the successes they had. Because 2020, it's going to go down as a very negative year. It just is. But I'll tell you what did happen in 2020. We started this podcast, and I'm very proud of it. The other two guys aren't. And Roger sees it as more of a burr in his side than anything else. But
Whatever.
I'm proud of it. We've got 45 episodes in now, and we're looking at 52 before March, and it's a good thing. My wife, she had a once in a lifetime experience of carrying a moon rock, like an actual rock from the moon, from Houston all the way to Europe, and that was a big deal for her. My daughter graduated her basic officer course, engineer, and now she's at her first assignment. Josh and I published Snafu's, Food Bars, and Other Sordid Tales. We raised.
Okay, so can you recap positive news from 2020? It doesn't involve Luke.
Yeah, I just said Josh and I published that book and raised $1,000. I'm getting to it, Roger. Be patient. We raised some money for a good cause. For Tom Satterley's organization, and Josh and I lost some weight. So that's a good thing. And we can get into the weight loss later. I can't put weight back on, people. I'm serious. I'm eating not well right now, and my weight is not coming back. And my wife is like, bro, you're losing too much weight. Your jeans are falling off you. So, I guess that's a good thing. It's funny, Josh, you listen to Josh at this episode. Let me let y'all behind the curtain a little bit on what's going on. Josh seems a little bit, reserved this episode, doesn't he? Well, it's because his dad started listening. And his dad, what Josh's dad told him was, and I don't know where Josh's dad got this, but his dad told him, Roger and Luke are pretty calm. I get where he finds that Roger is calm, but he's like, Roger and Luke are pretty calm. You need to, follow their lead. Like, as a good son, his dad's a great guy. As a good son, Josh is trying to be a little more calm in this episode. So thanks, Josh's dad. I don't know if we're going to gain any listeners by Josh being calm, but it is what it is. I think 2021 is going to be a good year as far as this podcast goes. We're going to get Dave Van Noort on here. We're looking forward to that. We're going to get a Slovenian guy named Leonard Perko, makes knives, has some interesting theories on COVID. We're going to get Tom Satterley on here. Now, as far as what did 2020 teach us, I'm gonna echo what Josh said. 2020 really taught me. I think all three of us and the rest of the audience really were trying to figure out the whole dynamics, the whole calculus behind the mask, no mask thing. And I think that I want to thank Johnny, Josh's friend. I want to thank Johnny for really starting to clarify it for me, where he's like, my governor says this. So I took what Johnny said. I take a negative and I try to make it into a positive. I took what Johnny said and I tried to apply it to how I viewed the whole situation. I'm like, well, these people aren't necessarily concerned with the spread of COVID. They're concerned with following the fucking rules. That's what they're concerned with. And what really pulled the curtain back on 2020 for me is a lot the same as what Josh said, is like how readily people are willing to follow the rules. For years, I've always asked myself, what made the Nazis, like, and not your hardcore jackbooted Nazi SS officer. I'm not talking about that person. I'm talking about the rank and file Nazis back in Germany. What made them go along with that? Well, I'm starting to see it now. I'm starting to see it from people like Johnny. People are so willing to follow the rules, and people in my own life who I see around me are willing to are just dead set on the rules, not necessarily the spread of COVID and keeping people healthy. It's following the rules. So I wonder, there was a law, and I didn't write down the name of it. Tim Pool covered it in his podcast. There's a law that the New York New York State legislator is considering passing, and I'm sure you guys have seen this, where they're like, if someone is a threat to public health, they can be quarantined out in a separate area. They can be basically arrested and taken out to a separate area and quarantined if they are deemed a threat to public health. If you people don't believe me, I really wish I would have written down this law so you could look it up, but this is something that's being debated in the New York State Legislature, and it's being seriously debated. And my question is, would Bonnie go along with this? Would Bonnie and Johnny go along with this New York State Legislature law where it's like, if you are deemed by the state, by the governor, to be a public health risk, can you be taken off and quarantined somewhere else? And I would say, they would say, Bonnie and Johnny would say, oh, no, of course not. But if 2021 continues along the same road as 2020, they will be voting for that law in whatever state they live in. People want to follow laws. They do not care about COVID. They don't give a shit. I'm telling you. As far as what Roger was saying, as far as Biden, Russia, Iran, China, I say watch Russia real close in Ukraine. Roger thought I was messing with him today when I posted a link to some Ukrainian open source link to Ukrainian intelligence is saying that they're going to invade. Russia is going to invade further north into Ukraine. And Roger's like, yep, that's what they're going to do. You know, they saw what happened under Obama. And I'm like, no, it's not going to be an invasion. It's going to be a peaceful incursion. Russia's going to go further north in Ukraine from Crimea, if you follow that kind of thing, which I hope most of you do. I think that you should watch China real close. I don't want to give Obama credit. I know I'm talking too long and I'm going to wrap it up, but I don't want to give Obama credit, but I do think that the Pacific pivot, the pivot to the Pacific, I think that that's something that's going to happen, period. I really do. And it needs to happen because China, dude, Russia, let me boil it down for you people. Russia does not have the economic power of maybe, let's pick a state, Arizona, and maybe New Mexico and Colorado. Russia has the combined economic power of maybe those three states. They are not a threat. China is a threat. Russia has nuclear weapons, so they are an existential threat. But the big threat right now is China. The Iran nuclear deal, that stuff's going to go forward. Straight up, it's going to go forward, and that's going to cause us problems down the road. I will make a prediction, not necessarily for 2021, but more for 2022. I think that Joe Biden will go off. No, not willingly. Joe Biden will not willingly go off his meds, but he will be taken off his meds and he will go absolutely apeshit either shortly before or shortly after the midterm elections. Now, Roger's nodding his head, and I'd like to hear what Roger says about that because I really think, Roger, Josh wants to say something first. I really think that people are going to take Joe Biden off his meds, but I don't understand that because Kamala Harris is so unpopular. She is so unpopular. I don't think she could win against Donald Trump in 2024, and I think Donald Trump is going to run in 2024. Josh, what do you think?
Let's hold that in abeyance real quick. Right. So you're talking about the bill in New York. So it's Assembly Bill A416, and here's what it says. It would amend existing public health laws to allow for, quote, the removal of cases, contacts, and carriers of communicable diseases who are potentially dangerous to the public health, end quote. All right. So, like you said, if I deem you a danger to public health, and it's not just for COVID, it's, for any communicable disease, I can go ahead and remove you from society, and place you somewhere for your safety. This is for your safety, right? So here's the bad part about that, and here's what's truly terrible. And Johnny and Bonnie would absolutely go along with this 100%. Is if you pull it up on Snopes, here's what Snopes has to say. Snopes rates that as the claim is legislation proposed and passed in New York talking about, COVID detention camps, right? Here's Snopes' rating. It's a mixture. Yeah, the bill's being talked about, but it's not been passed. So we have to rate that false. But yeah, it's true that there's legislation.
Unbelievable.
But that's, dude, you're like, well, what's undetermined? Here's what's undetermined according to Snopes, and what makes them rate this as a mix. Not true, but as a mixture. Quote, requirements, locations, and other logistical information for such isolation centers are not outlined. Furthermore, precedent suggests that it is unlikely such a bill would even pass. There's no outrage that the bill has even been introduced and people actually are entertaining that idea. It probably wouldn't pass. So, I mean, it's no big deal, right? I'm telling you, dude, 2020 showed us that the majority of our countrymen are not the people we thought they were. That's just what it is. As far as Trump 2024, I don't know, man. I don't know. We talked about that in the episode. I don't know. I'm going to throw it over to Roger though, so he can give his input on.
Well, saying it's not the fact that like somebody that is an elected member of the government actually brought that bill up. That's what should freak people out. And I hate to break this down to people. That is already happening. I mean, it's already happening depending on what state that you're in. They've already, so when the lockdowns first happened, we were talking about back in March or what have you, and I got a Costco membership. And, going with my private, company and this and that, I said, I got my Costco membership. I went there and I shop for a couple of weeks. And then the business mandated that you wear masks to come in and shop. And I'm like, you know what? And this was before the state mandate or the county mandate. I said, you know what? I choose not to go in there. So I called and they were cool about it. They said, hey, we totally understand it. Gave me a full refund and I didn't go back there. And of course now, the government's mandated it. So just, whatever. But they are already determining, and depending on what state that you're in, where you can go, if you can leave your house, what you have to wear when you go somewhere or when you enter something, what you can buy, what you can't buy. They're already there. They're already down that road. So, I mean, the fact that, finally legislation is trying to, why they're trying to pass legislation like that? Because the stuff's actually being struck down in the courts. Because I think it was only, I forget which justice it was. Maybe it was Alito. When you talk about infringing on individual rights, I mean, a lot of these rulings that I've read, there really hasn't been a lot of discussion on that. A lot of these laws or a lot of these mandates are being struck down because they're saying, well, you're actually abusing the executive powers that have been given to you. Not that it's wrong, right? Not that, hey, wait a minute here, there's some other rights here that we're infringing upon. It's that, well, no, because your state legislature really didn't write in those, that extent for the law, for you to be using or to mandate those type of things. So that's the scary piece about it is I think it was Alito, if I go back and remember, he's the only one who said, hey, look, there's an individual rights and individual freedoms here piece that we've yet to address. That's the main concern, not the fact that, well, so going back to Josh's thing, that's exactly what they're trying to do. Hey, you don't want it to be struck down in the courts? Well, then you just pass a law. Because they can say, well, you know what, we passed a law within our state and or amend our state constitution or whatever, to make it legal so it becomes impossible to challenge unless you infringe on somebody's constitutional rights, and then you have to take it all the way to the Supreme Court, and hell, by that time, it's going to be 5 years down the road, if it even makes it. That's part of the problem with the process right now with these courts is that when you've got places like California, New York, Michigan that are shutting businesses down, keeping families at home, telling them they can't leave, you can't really fight it because even if you had the money and the resources to fight it, you won't get through the courts fast enough. I mean, if you're lucky, maybe you get in there within 6 months, 8 months. I think I've only heard a handful that were actually expedited. But going back to both of your statements on the, as far as the American people and this and that, and this isn't just Americans. I mean, you see it worldwide. And I had the same thoughts that Luke did when you look at, how did World War II happen? Those type of things. And, how did the people, and you can go back in history, right, through hundreds of civilizations. People are natural born followers. That's a fact. You know what? That's why they sell books on leadership. They don't sell books on following. right? Because people are natural born followers. So they write books on leadership to teach people how to become leaders and how to go lead other folks. People are natural born followers. And when you go to like the Bonnie and the Johnny, for them, it goes back to the renaming of the buildings at West Point. See, they won't see the bigger picture of it. We talk about the slippery slope, and you can call it whether it is or isn't a logical fallacy or whatever. I think they missed the whole point. I mean, you got the technical term or whatever, but they're missing the whole point behind it. It's the fact that they just inch away at it, right? They just chip away at it. We just take a little bit here, a little bit there, and they say, oh, well, you know what? For this little piece here, it makes sense. It's saving lives and this and that, and they don't understand that both sides of the aisle are going to take that to the extreme. It's not going to be just one piece of your freedom that they take, because then they're going to be able to, if you set that precedence, you're going to be able to apply that to everything. And are you willing to take it to that extreme? It's like saying, well, why not allow multiple, folks to get married, to each other? Well, okay, then why stop there? Why not 10 people? Why not 15 people? Why do you limit it to people, right? There's got to be a boundary somewhere there. And they fail to see the bigger picture because they think, oh, that will never happen. It already is happening. When you look at a perfect analogy is the gun control. When I think it was Josh that just brought it up with okay, we won't control guns, we'll just control the ammo. Because guess what? In California, and as far as I know, this hasn't been struck down. In California, they've already passed the law that if you are not a resident of the state of California, you can't buy ammo in California. So how does that work? It's already happening. So I think that's what people miss is they look at, they're, to use Luke's term, they're very myopic in their view. They look at one specific problem set and they say, okay, this law, this regulation, this measure is a good solution for this small problem set. But they don't understand that, hey, laws apply to everything. Okay, it applies across the board. And so they fail to look at that and say, okay, well, how is this going to impact? You talk about your second, third, fourth orders of effect. How is that going to impact that? As far as the Iran nuclear deal, Luke, correct me if I'm wrong. I think I read this morning that they have already upped their, up to 20% as far as their enrichment of uranium. They've agreed to, or not agreed, Iran's already said that, hey, we're going to go up this thing already to 20% because they know that, guess what? The inauguration is going to happen in 15 days. I agree with Josh. It's going to be a peaceful transfer. There'll be a lot of rhetoric that goes up to that, right? Back and forth, left and right. It's funny listening to all the idiots. And maybe they'll prove us wrong. Maybe we'll be wrong and the military will do something we haven't seen in the last 25 years of service or whatever that we've had. But there's going to be a peaceful transfer. That's going to happen. I guess my question, I'll throw it to Josh. We've talked about it a little bit before, but now we're really come up to January 20th. What happens to not only the GOP and the Republican Party, what happens to the 74 million Trump voters like us? I'm assuming we all voted Trump. Josh may have voted Biden, I'm not sure, but for the 74 million for the 74 million voters out there that voted Trump, what happens here during this next 2 years? Because we saw what happened during Trump's 4 years. It was the never Trump, I hate Trump, orange man bad. Do we expect the same kind of thing out of the right or the people that voted for Trump? Do we expect that something very similar during the Biden years?
I don't know. It's really hard to tell. So you go back to 2012 and McCain lost or was that no.
Yeah, that was Romney, right, in 2012.
Romney and Ryan lost, right? So, you had those, they lost, and you had the Tea Party, right? The Tea Party came out, and the Tea Party was like, this is the new, people were touting this is the new Republican, this is going to be the new Republican Party. This was, fiscal conservatives, socially conservative and everything. And the Tea Party fizzed out fairly quick. I mean, they were, that was not, I don't even think they lasted really 12 months in the spotlight before it was kind of like, all right, whatever. Everybody just kind of got on with their lives. This is different. You have, like you said, you have 74 million people who, I think the Republican base is energized past the point of business as usual. I think I don't know that you're going to see a fracture in the Republican Party. I think a lot of that depends on what happens after January 20th. Does Donald Trump keep holding rallies? Does Donald Trump, keep financially supporting, those Republicans who have come out and, kind of gone against the grain a little bit? Not talking about you, Dan Crenshaw. You're part of the swamp. We'll get to you later. Um, you know, I don't know. It's hard to tell. The attention span. I don't have faith in the American people writ large. I mean, I look both ways when I cross a one-way street. That's how much faith in society I have. And I don't, but I damn sure don't have faith in, so-called Republicans, to actually stand up and say, this is it, put that red line, that line in the sand, and say, I'm done with the Republican Party. It's either the Republican Party pivots and the Republican Party, conforms to those 74 million Trump voters, or the Republican Party continues to, maintain that status quo. And make no mistake, Mitch McConnell, is part of that Republican Party. He is going to go whichever way the political winds are blowing. He's going that way. He's going that direction. People are like, "Oh, Mitch McConnell is going to stand up." Dude, no, he is not. The Mitch McConnell, you are absolutely 100% kidding yourself. If you think that is true, and so will you, Dan Crenshaw, because you have no spine unless there's a book deal or a movie involved. You know, I don't know, man. It's honestly, it's hard to tell, and I know Luke will probably be like, "Oh, Josh is being wishy-washy," but not making a decision on this one, or not taking a stand on this one. It's truly hard to tell, man, because I think if come January 20th, people transfer, but if Trump comes out the next day and is like, "Hey, I am backing, every non, career politician. I am backing every non-swampy person." I think you may see that. You just got to keep that energy going, right? And I think you have to see that. If you let it die off, then come 2022, it's going to be because Americans have the attention span of a gnat. 6 months from now, people are going to be like, Donald who? Whatever. They're going on. They're standing in line for their next free meal, or they're waiting on their next stimulus check, and that's what they're focused on. They're not focused on what happened. They're not focused on the fact that the FBI was weaponized against U.S. citizens and violated the constitutional rights. People have forgotten that shit. People have forgotten, and Luke pointed it out a couple of episodes ago. The cognitive dissonance in this country is through the roof. People don't care. People, if it's not happening to them and it's not happening to them in the next 30 seconds, they don't care about it. They absolutely don't care about it. And then the other 90%, they're going to go along with whatever they're told anyway. The Johnnies and Bonnies, they're going to do exactly what they are told, to begin with. So you damn sure can't count on them. Not that they're conservatives anyway, but you damn sure can't count on them. They don't deserve to be called Americans. But yeah, you're not. I think it really does. It all depends on what happens in the next couple of months with Trump, and do you keep that 74 million energized?
See, that's where I disagree with you. I really do think this new Patriot Party movement is going to end up like the Tea Party. I really do. I not that the Tea Party didn't have any effects. It did. And I think that this will too. I think that the Patriot Party, the 74 million or whatever, are going to have an impact in the 2022 election, depending on when they take Joe Biden off his meds. And you people think I'm messing with you on that. You watch, man. They're going to take him off his meds. But that's where I disagree with you. I don't think that this Patriot Party movement is going to amount to anything, man. I think it's going to be like the Tea Party movement. And, you know, I don't know. I talked to some more objective friends that I have, and I'm going to call out Titus again. You know, I talked to Titus a few nights ago, and, you know, he was like, he's trying to explain to me, not trying, he was doing a good job of explaining to me, you know, why so many people voted for Biden. And he was agreeing with me. It's like they voted against Trump. But it's like, I have a hard time believing that 80 to 84 million people, you know, it's just like, it's the whole thing, you know. And Titus is he's a straight-laced dude, and he's like kind of the rest of us. He wants to believe that, as I do, he wants to believe that things are kind of on the up and up. And we don't want to believe that the entire system is freaking crooked. So we, and I'm talking about Titus and me, not Roger and Josh, want to lean toward what's rationally explainable, which, like, okay, well, so many people didn't like Trump, so they voted for Biden. But again, then my mindset, Luke's mindset, goes back to, I just have a hard time believing that many people vote for Biden. And we covered this in the last episode, like 80% of Minnesota or whatever, like Roger said. It's just like, man, I told some people the other night, it was December 31st, 2020. I said, and I've never really felt this way before, and I'm going to share this with the audience, man. I do not have a lot of faith in this system right now. I just don't, man. And I question what I do. I really do. Because election integrity, I mean, there's some stuff going on right now, and there's questions that haven't been answered. And these questions are questions that everyone should be asking, not just me, not just the right. The left should be asking these questions too. What the hell happened? Did this end up this way? I mean, is it so crazy? Joe Biden got this many votes. Maybe it should have been Joe Biden on the ticket with Barack Obama as the vice president. Maybe that should have been the case. Because if that, you know, if Joe Biden is this popular, oh, you know, maybe they should have switched the tickets. I don't know, man. It's crazy. I don't know. I mean, Roger, you know, what do you think? You know, I'm going to ask Roger what he thinks, and I'm going to think of like 20 questions to ask. You know, okay. So Roger, you know, I went off on my little tirade there. So, but Trump, I agree with you guys. I think that all this nonsense talking about, oh, it's going to be a military coup, and I've been going around Twitter saying, you know, anyone who says that, I reply to him and I say, pin this to your timeline, pin it. Because he's not going to do a military coup, man. I got in a big dust up with somebody on Twitter the other day who's on my side, because I was like, Trump is just using this as free media. That's what he's doing to establish Trump TV, or whether he's going to go in on, you know, whatever. I can't think of the names. These media corporations that are not corporations. Shit, I can't remember the names of them. News Corp. That's one. Is Trump going to go in on News Corp? Is he going to make Trump TV? I think Trump is using this as free publicity. That's what I think. I do not think Trump's going to be doing a, you know, military takeover of the United States and all this stuff. So my question to you, Roger, I think I've done a pretty good job of obfuscating so far. So now that the media has nothing to cover, so Trump's going to be gone 2021, and we got the New York lawsuits and all that stuff, and maybe they'll cover that. But what will the media cover? What will they cover?
Well, I think you're already starting to see the shift to the second strain of COVID-19, right? Because they're already talking about during some of the virtual town halls or press conferences that he's had, where they've actually disabled the chat so the reporters can't talk to each other, and a lot of them are throwing out softball questions if you're a part of the if you're part of the mainstream media or whatever. So it'll be interesting. I mean, you've already heard from like Acosta and a couple of these other folks saying that, well, the media will be different with Biden. And that right there should cause a problem, right? It's like, well, the media shouldn't be any different one way or another. It's like, hey, I want to ask tough, straightforward questions, objectively, and the individual, the president, the vice president, or whoever is going to provide their answers. And then from there, you can go on, as these networks do with editorials and opinions, and we can do all that stuff all day. But I think I don't know what the media is going to cover. I mean, right now, I don't think they know what they're going to cover. I think that's why they've been on this COVID thing, because really, they don't even cover Trump anymore. I mean, you've got a couple here and there that are just pissed off and angry, and they'll throw a couple things out there. But like Elon Omar, talking about, we should impeach Trump over the phone call. I'm like, the guy's got 15 days left. Get over yourself. Get through the 15 days and do what you got to do. But I don't even think that the media themselves know what they want to cover. And I think that's why you're starting to see the COVID come back in the news. And I guess so, answering our question that we had a couple episodes ago, I guess the number for COVID deaths doesn't start over like every other cause of death starting January. I guess it's just not annually. So we'll just continue counting that number. So can we do that with the flu and everything else then? Or no, I guess we can't, because you need the shock value to have that running tab. So, I don't know what the media is going to end up covering. It'll be pretty interesting to see if they truly do treat Biden with kid gloves. I don't think Biden has to come off his meds, though, on the midterms. Maybe there'll be some story about it or whatever, but I think he willingly steps down. I think he does it maybe for his health or whatever. There'll be some excuse. He never actually truly has to come off his meds. But I do agree that I think you see him for 24 months, man. You see that dude for 24 months, and the next thing you know, that whole 25th Amendment, believe me, that wasn't for Trump. That was for Biden. I think Josh and Luke both called it. It's that 25th Amendment was for Biden. It wasn't for Trump. And when it comes around that 2-year mark, what's going to happen? Well, hey, I'm too old, or I got sick, or whatever. Kamala steps up, and they're going to try to pull a 10-year term, right? Because that's all you need is 24 months. And real quick, I don't know if you guys are checking this out on Twitter. What's going on right now with the Trump rally in D.C.? Holy shit, there are a lot of people there. There are a lot of freaking people out in D.C. right now. It's actually pretty crazy. So if you get a chance, check it out on Twitter. But Josh, real quick. So I guess the biggest thing that we look at as far as 2021, and one of the most important predictions, let's talk about the elections tonight. So you've got, or I guess it's going on right now, and they're already talking about they're having issues. So I've heard that, I heard Fox News already called the Senate race for Warnock and Ossoff. So I think they've already colored that state blue. But I don't know. What do you think, man?
You're joking. You're joking.
You've got, don't call me out. I may joking. Or may not be joking. So you've got Warnock and Loeffler, and then you got Ossoff and Perdue. So you have any picks on? Is there a split there? Does it go totally blue? Does it go blue and red, or what do you think?
So I think Warnock beats. I think Warnock beats Loeffler. I just, again, man, I don't have faith in the American people. I don't. I'm telling you right now, China could invade the United States right now, and I'm telling you, 85% of Americans would not do anything. They would be like, all right, well, I guess they're in charge now. I'm telling you, I don't. It's like Luke said it, man. I have lost faith in the system. I have lost faith in the system with that. I've lost faith in my countrymen. I tell you, dude, 2020 was not a good year for me. It was not a good year for me, on multiple levels. The positives, right? I'll go back to the positives, since Luke wanted to point out the positives about him. We did start the podcast, COVID, quarantine was good for that, man. We started this podcast, which has been beneficial for me, one, just to being able to, get my thoughts out of my head. Not that anybody really wanted to hear them anyway. I retired officially.
Yeah.
Officially retired out of the Army. And so I got a chance to do that. I got a chance to spend, the quarantine was hard. It was hard on the kids, man. dude, I don't think a lot of people have realized how hard this has been on kids, on school age kids. Kids need that social interaction. And while it was good for me, you know, being at home with the kids, you know, I want to say, catching up on all those years and all those, things that, we all miss while we were serving and deployed and everything. It's just, I got to catch up on a lot of that. That was cool for me. Dude, that wasn't, if you ask my kids, the kids are like, bro, you were home way too long. Like the kids are like, yeah, can't you go somewhere?
Bro, should have stayed in. Could have made CW5, man. Could have made CW5. You should have stayed in, man. You quit. You quit because of your kids, and they're like, Dad, get the F out of here, bro.
Yeah, I quit. Yeah, I absolutely 100% quit. But the really cool part was, my youngest daughter, just kind of off the cuff one day telling me that she was like, she's like, Daddy, I'm really glad you don't go away for a long time anymore. And that was just, we weren't even talking about it. It was just, it was just a random comment. It's like, I'm really glad you don't go away, for a long time anymore. Talk about deployments and stuff. And I was like,
How old is she?
So she just turned 13.
Sweet.
So she was 12 when she said it. So that, like that right there. I retired for a reason. But so 2020, it was good on that part, man. But other than that, dude, there was a lot of things. It was really hard on the kids, because they're like, dude, it's cool for us, being at home with the kids, making memories, stuff like that. The kids are like, damn, this dude doesn't ever go to work. Like what?
Well, and that's their social life too, right? Like, especially at that age, it's like that's how you meet your boyfriend and girlfriend or whatever. I mean,
they need to interact with kids their age. They need that social interaction to learn, so what's socially acceptable, what's not, and just everything. And so they did not get that in 2020 as much as they should. And that's been super hard on a lot of kids. I don't think a lot of people realize that. And then, but so 2020, good and bad. I don't think that Georgia, the elections today, I don't think that it's going to turn out. I think Purdue beats Ossoff. I
agree with that.
I think Purdue will come out on top. I think Purdue will come out on top of Ossoff. My family, my family lives in Georgia. My extended family lives in Atlanta and southern Georgia, right? So two completely different areas politically in Georgia. Atlanta obviously very blue. Southern Georgia, very, very red, right? There's some places that, I can't take, my friends of color in Southern Georgia, so I think Loeffler loses because she's a lot like McSally out there in, Apache Junction. She's just, man, she's a train wreck. She's not good. And I think Warnock, simply based on his districts, man, I think he win. I think he wins. I don't think, but I think Purdue wins. Ossoff is just nobody likes that dude, and his districts he's not from the districts the districts that are going to win. Hopefully. But again, who knows? Again, I don't have faith in the American people. I don't have faith in the system. There were so many irregularities with this election that, if it was just one thing, okay, it is what it is. But I'm a stats guy. I'm a data guy. I need to see the data. And I can tell you right now that anecdotal data does not support it, right? You will never ever convince me that Joe Biden, who was pulling less than 100 people to his rallies, to his drive-in rallies, beat out 2008 Barack Obama numbers. You will never convince me of that.
Me neither.
Ever.
Me neither. Me neither.
There's no way.
Nope.
There's no way.
There's no. This goes back to the conversation that Titus and I had. It's just like, dude, maybe it's because I'm living in my bubble, but I saw what I saw, man. It's just like, what's going on? But okay, so we're closing in on the end of the episode. And I want to end it on a positive note, man. I really do, because I'm one of these positive guys, man. I just positive. And I want to ask you guys, like, what are your, I'm not a New Year's resolution guy. I never have been. Not really. But this year I'm like, okay, it's time to stop screwing around. Let's make some goals for this year. So I've made some goals for myself. And I want to know if you guys have made some goals for yourselves too. One of my goals, to be honest, with you in the audience, is to start a nonprofit, like to begin the process of starting a nonprofit. Because the more I dig into this, it's like, dude, this is tough business. It's not as easy as you think. That's one goal. Another goal is we're going to do a couple of books. And I think the biggest hurdle to that is going to be getting Roger to contribute to the next snafus, foo bars, tarfus, and other sorted tales. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get him on. He doesn't want to write. He can dictate, and I will transcribe that. I will do it because he's got some great stories. You guys got to hear this. I've got some other goals, but I think that 2020 actually, personally, for me personally, was a good year. And I want to make 2021 kind of the same. It's like, to be honest, I've got a government job and we don't work as so I've got some extra time on my hands. So I'm going to try to make the best of that. So I'm going to send it around to Roger and then Josh. And then Josh can kick it back to Roger to close it out. Roger, do you have any goals for this year? Are you a New Year's resolution guy? What's going on?
Nope.
Well, that would.
No, it's funny because this was the first year I think that my family hasn't asked about my New Year's resolution, because it's so I've never been a big New Year's resolution guy. I've never set that type of stuff because I tell you, and it may be hard to properly articulate because I don't want it to sound like, oh, everything I do is the end all be all. But like everything that I try and that I attempt, fail or succeed or whatever, it's like I do it the best I can. I do everything that I possibly can. And so I sleep very well at night because I truly believe it's like I couldn't have done more to provide for my family, to provide for myself, to provide for our business, whatever. I do everything I can. I give everything that I have. So it's, I always feel like to have these things, it's like, well, okay, you've admitted that you fell short because you were lazy, because you didn't want to do it, you weren't motivated, whatever. And I'm not talking about day-to-day stuff. I'm talking about bigger picture things. I think bigger picture, when I look back at my year, and not just 2020, but 2019, 18, whatever, I look back at the year and say, hey, man, I've done everything that I could possibly do. Some days are better than others, and some days are worse than others. But at the end of the day, at the end of the year, I've done the best that I can to provide for my family, provide for myself, provide for my friends. So with that being said, I've never really had the whole New Year's resolution thing. I will say this, for one of your goals for nonprofit, and I think this is now fact since we're into 2021. So as of the closure of 2020, Culper's Canteen Cup did not generate a profit. So congratulations, Luke. You are officially a part of and have started a nonprofit organization. And from all accounts, Culper's Canteen Cup will probably continue to be nonprofit going into 2021. But some good news for you, and I just got this from Carlos at Chartables. Check this out. So our podcast, Culper's Canteen Cup, has good performance in Apple Podcast rankings the last 30 days. So we are number 2 in the category of social sciences in Slovenia. We are I am serious as a heart attack. Number 2 in that category in Slovenia.
No, we got to pump those numbers up, man. Those are rookie numbers, man.
We
Social
are position.
science,
Well,
are
let
you
me.
fucking serious?
No, dude, I'm serious. A heart attack. So let me rephrase this. It says position two. It doesn't say ranking. So you automatically want to make that leap. That position is ranking. So they could be different definitions from what I look at it. But it says position two in the category social sciences, Slovenia. Position 5 in the category science overall, Slovenia, and position 170 in the category all podcasts for Slovenia. Now, bigger number than this. Check this one out. Position 173 in the category social sciences in the United States. That's incredible.
Not bad. That's not bad.
That's actually pretty incredible. Because I think we would be at like number 5,624 or something like that.
Think of all the universities out there. Think of all the jackass students that are doing their thing. Dude, I think that's a good number, man. I really do. But I think we could pump those numbers up in Slovenia. I really do, man.
Well, yeah, it's probably like you and your coworkers, and that made us number 2 or whatever it is. But
it's only like 6 people.
Hey, we're now in the Indian market, so we're on the platform Ghana, which I think you were telling me, right, Luke, that that's the fastest growing podcast market in the world right now. Was it me or you or Josh?
You said that actually, and I think we had endeavored to make a shout out to our Indian clients earlier in the podcast, but we didn't. So,
well, you just did, and maybe they can catch us on YouTube. So now that we're on their platform, who knows, man? These numbers may get even bigger than that. So that's some good news to end on. I'll kick it over to Josh for his New Year's resolution or non-resolution or whatever.
I used to be a New Year's resolution guy. And then I don't know when it's kind of just stopped being a New Year's resolution guy. It's just one of those things. If I'm going to do something, I don't need New Year's to do it, right? It's always like, it's like those people who are like, well, I'm going to start a diet or I'm going to start a new workout routine tomorrow, right? The best day to start that is always tomorrow.
It's the most popular.
Yeah, exactly. They were like, well, I'll start that on New Year's. It's like, nah, dude, if I'm going to do something, I'm just going to go ahead and do it today. I'm just gonna go and start it now. I'm not gonna wait. So I don't have New Year's resolutions per se, but 2020 has given me a lot of time to reflect. The good thing about retiring and having a lot of downtime, not only at the beginning of the year, when I was on terminal leave, but having a lot of the downtime, during quarantine and everything. Is I've had a lot of time to really sit down and think, and it's been good. It's been good and bad, right? It's been a double-edged sword. There's a lot of things. It's kind of like owning a house. The good thing is that you're responsible for everything, and the bad thing is that you're responsible for everything.
Yep.
Being a homeowner, and so looking at the 2021. I will definitely take a harder look at my circle. I used to want to have my circle very big, right? I was casting a wide net because it was nice to have all these people in my circle and having all these people to reach out to, and you look at it, quote unquote, as, your network, right? And I've come to find that my network. There's varying degrees to that network. And as far as like my circle, right? When I talk about like, my friends, right? People, like I can pick up a phone and that person's going to be there. That's gotten very, very small. And I want to make sure that it gets a little smaller, but I want to make sure that quality is there by that quantity. So, that's probably one thing I'll look really hard at, in 2021, using Luke's, train car criteria that we've talked about. That's right. There's those people that I'll, always, I'll say hi to in passing, but I don't necessarily want to stop and have a conversation with. Other than that though, I just, I want to maintain, obviously, what I have. I want to make sure, the family stays, the family's taken care of. I want to make sure that I'm able to provide for them. I want to make sure that my kids are healthy and, they've got what they need, right? They've got a roof over their head, clothes on their back, and, food on the table. But, other than that, man, I don't really have any, this is my 2021. Luke's talked about that nonprofit, and I didn't think about, C3 being a nonprofit. So you pointed that out, and we haven't made $1.
Winning.
Which, you know what though, and granted, I would love to, I would obviously, I'd love to monetize this thing, but at the end of the day, this has been a blast. This has been a lot of fun. This has been a great outlet, for me, because, dude, my kids get tired of hearing me talk. My wife gets tired of hearing me talk. She's just like, I don't care what they're doing about guns. I don't care about, she's just like, I'm tired of hearing you ramble on about this, and being stuck in the house all day with everybody, that didn't help either. So this has been a fantastic outlet. So obviously it would be nice to monetize this, but even if we don't, I'm good with it. Honestly, man, it's a great outlet. But starting a nonprofit, actually helping some people, in places where they can't help themselves is phenomenal. Because at the end of the day, I've been blessed. I truly have. I've been blessed, man. I got a job. I had a job all through through COVID and everything. So I really can't complain. Dude, I got two car notes and a house note. None of those three things are older than 5 years. So I can't complain, right? I've been very blessed. So as far as 2021 goes, man, I'm just gonna keep grinding, keep doing it, and we'll see where it goes. I would love to do another book. Maybe Roger can get off his ass and and contribute a little bit. I don't know. He's got some great stories, man. We need to hear about the kid you put in the Army with Down syndrome. We need to hear about we need to hear all those
allegedly.
things. The world needs
allegedly.
Allegedly.
I could still be recalled.
The world needs to know these things, right? So anyway, I'll kick it over to Roger so he can close it out. So.
Now, and you bring up some very valid points, and I think a lot of people forget this, and I guess this happens to all of us as we get older. So now we go into the self-help portion of Culper's Canteen Cup because we want to make truly the top 5 playlist on, I think it's always self-help and diets or something like that really kicks your numbers up on the rankings or whatever. But you really do have to put things in perspective, and that's what I try to teach my kids now, especially my son's 18 and both my daughters early 20s, which, by the way, before I came on here about 2 hours ago, my oldest daughter just gave birth to my second grandchild. So she was born a couple hours ago, and unlike me, got a full head of hair, so I'm already a little jealous. But you truly do have to put things in perspective. And I noticed the other day that my wife drove my truck. She came home and they were pulling groceries out. And anyway, they dropped a glass of onion dip or whatever the hell it was, and it spilled all over the driveway. And everybody's kind of freaked out that, oh, Dad's gonna be pissed and Dad's gonna come out. And I was like, it's onion dip, man. You want another jar? Just go back and buy another one. And I think that's one of those that when you look at if I look at myself 20 years ago, you might have been, all pissed off. Well, who in the fuck dropped the goddamn onion dip? I mean, what the fuck's wrong with you, right? I mean, you freak out and this and that. And nowadays, and they're like, Dad, you're not mad? I'm like, dude, it's onion dip. At the end of the day, it's like, I've got my house, I've got my health. Like Josh, it's like, I got a house note, I got a car note. Everything else is, everybody else is pretty healthy. So in the grand scheme of things, I'm winning. It's and I tell my daughter that now as she's going on to, get ready to start her career. And, as you do as a young adult, everything impacts everything, right? And it's like, look, man, I said, the day I'll start sweating is when they're getting ready to foreclose on my house. And the reality is I retired from the Army, so I'm probably not going to sweat that either. I'm like, you know what? You want the fucking house? You can have the house, you can have the dogs, and you can have the clothes. I'll take my retirement check. I'll move to Spain. We'll live in a condo off the beach, and that's just what I'll do. But I also understand that not everybody's in that position. And so some folks do have that stress with them, and especially if there's health issues and this and that. So, the grand scheme of things, today's self-help tip is, hey, man, big picture. I mean, if you're still breathing, family's still healthy, and you've got some form of food on the table and shelter above, it's it's pretty legit. You're winning, because it could definitely be a lot worse. So with that being said, even though it's 2021 now, we're going to call that the official closure to 2020. We're going to go into 2021. We're going to be fired up. For all you listeners out there and all you viewers out there, we definitely appreciate the year that you've given us. I keep saying, I've said it a couple of times, Luke actually autographed it in a book, and I hate to give him too much credit, but I have used this statement a couple of times that, the most valuable resource that somebody can give you is their time. Right, because it's something that you can never get back. So for those that are out there that continue to listen to us and they continue to watch us, we thank you. And for those that quit, well, you can go fuck yourself. So other than that, I want to throw that shout out to Carlton Zeus. Thanks for continuing to let us use your music, probably because you're not listening either or watching either. And for those that are on our YouTube channel, your freemium content starts now. Good one.
How much time we have left, man? That was high octane, bro.
Was it high octane? Did I get you pumped up, get you motivated, or you just drunk?
Yeah. Well, can I not be both?
No, you're good, man. We got a few minutes left. We got time. What's up, homie?
It's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I swear to God, these next 4 years, there's going to be plenty of shit to talk about.
I think it's going to be entertaining as hell. I am curious to see what the media does. What I am, I'm more interested in is to see what happens with like Fox News. When you look at their ratings, I mean, dude, they are getting their nuts smashed.
Yeah. They are in the basement.
And that's what makes me wonder about, when we talked about that 74 million people. Because when you look at like the Tea Party, I think they really became like the Freedom Caucus now. I mean, it's the same people. They just moved over and became the Freedom Caucus and whatever. But I can't remember a time where like Fox News is seen as being the left now. I mean, and not by like a small group of people, but by millions, by tens of millions. And I can tell you, I haven't watched Fox News since, with the occasional once or two snippets, I haven't had Fox News on since the election.
Dude, I have not watched Fox News since the election. I have not shared a Fox News article since the election. I have not even clicked. When I've done, Google searches and DuckDuckGo searches and stuff, I haven't even clicked on a Fox News article since the election. And
so what's next then? What's next? What's next? What does Trump do? I mean, I think it's going to be like
I don't know.
Or something.
They better be worried, because here's the thing that you're going to have to deal with Trump is, one, I mean, the guy's going to have unlimited resources when it comes to money. But the other thing is he's going to have unlimited resources when it comes to time. See, right now he's got that day job called being a president. So he can't put all of his energy into like fucking with people. But once he's no longer the president, his businesses and companies and this and that are already running on its own, and he can dedicate 100% of his time. I tell you, dude, you better be careful. You better be careful.
Dude, when those folks in office who, bucked up against him after the election, or he feels that they have, they have slighted him, or disrespected him in any way. And next thing you know, that dude shows up in their district supporting their running, whoever's running against them. Oh, man, dude, that guy can cause so much chaos and so much turmoil leading up to the 2022 elections that I don't think people are thinking that far. I don't think people are thinking that far ahead. And most people aren't, because they're stupid.
Dan Crenshaw better. Fucking Dan Crenshaw, dude. I swear to Christ. I'm going to support whoever's running against him, man. That motherfucker.
Go ahead and say it right now. Culper's Canteen Cup is fully behind and fully supports whoever runs against him.
Yeah, unless he replies to your shit. Because I'm telling you, dude, that's the fucking machine. The machine that replied to you, and I wish we could get into this. Maybe we will in another episode. But the machine that replied to you, dude, that was some fucking bullshit. Dude, I'm telling you, this guy is a fucking... You're right, dude.
You know what, though? It tells you something. The fact that was that canned and that prepared means that it's more than one or two people that feel the same way.
Fuck
so that's
yeah.
a good thing.
Yeah.
When they come back with something that canned, that tells me that there are tens of thousands of people who feel the exact same way.
Here's where we're smarter than Dan Crenshaw. Okay? Because who's voting for Dan Crenshaw? Who's voting for him in his district? Because if you look at it, it's like all gerrymandered as fuck. Dude, it's middle-aged men and women, Gen Xers, whatever, who are all, enamored with the eye patch and the Navy SEAL thing. Fuck that. I can take that down. The three of us can take that down in no time. Seriously, this motherfucker, I swear to God, I got a jihad against this guy. Motherfucker. I do not like him. Unless he replies to Josh, and unless he is like, yeah, bro, I'll come on, then I'll be like, oh shit. Now I got to prepare. Because we're going to have to prepare.
Is this your attempt to get your account banned, like myself and Josh, or what?
No, I got to do something. You know what? That's another resolution. I got to get my shit banned. Because he's
it up, bro. Dude, he's not going to reply, right? Because that reply, one, he doesn't run his social media accounts.
Nope.
That was not his reply. That was a reply. And if that reply was within 30 minutes of my post, if that reply didn't come within 2 hours of that post, it's not coming. And it's been days.
Okay, we're gonna take him down, right? That's Crenshaw takedown episode. I swear to God, this motherfucker. I swear to God, this motherfucker.
I will personally pay for the Facebook ads in his district campaigning against him. Whoever his challenger is, I will personally pay for our ads for our Facebook for C3. Okay, vote Dan Crenshaw out.
How much time do we have, Roger? How much time do we have?
We got about 10 minutes.
Okay, so Josh, so I'll ask you this. I know my answer, but I want to ask you. Why do you say that? I mean, why do you say that? Because the guy's a Republican, right? He's a Navy SEAL. Mm-hmm. He's got a Purple Heart. So why do you hate Dan Crenshaw so much? I mean, that's what people are going to want to know. It's like, whoa, what the fuck? These guys are veterans. Yeah, how come they're not backing up? Break it down.
All right, so first off, if anybody has shown us that just because you're a veteran doesn't automatically make you a good politician, it was John McCain. Right? I despise veterans who play the veteran card when they go into politics and say, well, I'm a veteran, I'm a good dude. I don't give a damn what you are. Your actions speak louder than your words. Dan Crenshaw's actions as a Republican are not congruent with Republican Party values. Dan Crenshaw himself stated, well, I didn't, can't believe you had time to read the bill. 5,000 plus page bill. Grr. Dan Crenshaw voted yes on both bills, even the defense bill that was laden with shit has nothing to do with the personal defense, with the defense of the United States, right? That bill also had in there the provision you will change the names of the 13, Army bases named after Confederate generals. It's stupid. Absolutely stupid. So why do I dislike Dan Crenshaw? I don't give a damn about his Purple Heart. I don't give a damn about his veteran status. You can be a great politician never having been a veteran, right? And that's a change from what I used to think. And you can be a great politician and having being a veteran. But just because you're a veteran doesn't make you, immune to criticism. We covered that in, our hate episode, right? Dan Crenshaw gets his bloomin' onion at Outback every November 11th, with his pirate patch. He goes in there and then he turns around and, he tweets about all this. I can't believe what the Democrats are doing. Okay, Dan, well, what the fuck are you doing about it? What are you going to do about it besides tweet about it? Because guess what, man? Your votes your votes on the floor are public record. Your statements on the floor are public record. And guess what I don't see? I don't see your votes and I don't see your statements being congruent with your social media posts. And while your social media posts may be, filled with emotion and they may get the likes and get the clicks, your actions don't back those up. That's why Dan Crenshaw can go fuck himself.
And his red flag laws, right? I mean, I think that's the big thing when you look at, especially being from Houston. And I was just looking at the map on how gerrymandered that is. Dude, it looks like a horseshoe. I mean, it's like, really? But whatever. I mean, I get it. Both sides do it. But, the problem that I have with him is, and it's not just him. I mean, we use him because it's like, I have more of a problem going back to what we do for work. It's the insider threat. That's what always kills you, right? You know who the enemy is. I know what to expect from a Pelosi. I know how Pelosi is going to vote, right? We all know that. We know how Chuck Schumer's going to vote. To an extent, you already know how Mitt Romney's going to vote because it's going to be anything critical swing. He's going to vote to the left. That's just the way he is. And that's what bothers me. You take guys like Romney, you take guys like Crenshaw, and you expect a conservative stance, conservative votes, and that's not always what you're going to get. And it's that's my problem. I don't agree with the red flag laws, and I think with a lot of the other politicians that bailed on Trump early on, that rode his fucking coattails for 4 years and then turned around and just bolted. That's the problem that I have with that, because it goes back to when they talk about the swamp, right? The swamp is equal to status quo. That's what it is. They're one and the same. They're one and the same. And we've talked about this 1,000 times with the whole Coke Pepsi thing. It's not about who's number one, number two, number three out of the race. And that's what it is. And that's what you're seeing now, right? You're seeing, I mean, if you have all of this, because it's weird, because on one hand, you've got every vote should count. But then you've got all these fraudulent votes. And again, I'm not saying there's millions of them. I mean, you can, again, take it at face value, right? If you believe that that Biden got 84 million votes, then, I believe different. But you can't sit here on one hand say, hey, count every vote. And then when you've got some voter fraud that comes up, even smaller cases, hundreds or maybe 1,000, whatever. Oh, no, we just turn a blind eye to that. I mean, it's like, really, there are a lot of things out there that are unanswered. And I think, Luke, you said it. There are a lot of things out there that are unanswered. And I just look at the way that the campaign has reacted as far as Biden and Harris. And I go back to this. One, you were on Black Tar Heron if you believe that 80% of Minnesota turned out to vote. I'm telling you that right now. That did not happen. Any of those states, those first top 5 that they say 75% showed up to vote, you're on crack. No fucking way. You were on the same stuff if you believe that 84 million people came out and voted for Joe Biden. And I would say this the same way for Donald Trump. I don't think Donald Trump could pull 84 million votes. Okay? I don't care who you are. So the fact that they haven't even addressed it on the right, and then on the left, if I was that confident that I pulled in 84 million votes, more votes in the history of every election since the beginning of our country, dude, that is running on the headlines of the New York Times. That's what I'm coming out saying. I've got a mandate, right? I have a mandate because 84 million people, 80% of Minnesota voted for me. That's going to be the headline. And so get beyond the Biden, get beyond the Trump and this and that. It's just a lot of it doesn't make sense to me. But going back to the Crenshaw thing, he's not the only one. It's just I have a problem with the Josh hit it on the head. I can't believe what's in that bill. Da 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 da. Well, why the fuck did you vote for it twice then? Next. There's no way anybody could read 5,500 pages in 12 hours. So then why did you vote for it? Because I tell you, what Donald Trump did was genius. Genius. By sitting there, and when we talked about this over some chatting, by sitting there and vetoing that and making those people, because it's one thing to put your name to an omnibus bill or this and that, budgets come and go and this and that. Now to actually override a veto, that's pretty concrete. You're making a stand. And now when you go into, and the problem is the elections are over with. So these politicians haven't even looked into the midterms yet. Problem is when this stuff, starts to come back around during the midterms and the election after that, I mean, this will haunt them for 2 or 3 election cycles. You will be able to go back and say, hey, look, because I would tell you this, one thing that you got to look at, and we haven't even got into it, and there's not even we don't have the time yet, but a future episode, hey, where's the fiscal conservatism of the right? I know that's a Josh thing, and I always bag on him about it and this and that. But I can't even remember the last time we heard about fiscal conservatism. I mean, it's been a couple of years now. I know we don't have enough time to talk about it here, but I mean, that's just gone. And that's, for me, that's one of the pillars of being a Republican or being, in the GOP or being a conservative, is to being a fiscal conservative. So anyway, with that, I know that we have all gone on our, we got all hot and heavy, right? We closed out the podcast with everybody's all sentimental and, hey man, we love you guys and we're ranked number 2 and pump each other up. And then we all dropped as soon as we went YouTube, man, we just straight F-bombs and everything. So anyway, for you YouTube viewers out there, again, same thanks goes out to you folks for watching us. Hopefully we provide some type of entertainment value for you. Stay safe out there and keep your canteen cups tightly secured.